Welcome back to the third day of the match day one fixtures, where today's matches, I would personally say, have been very boring as compared to yesterday's matches. Today's matches were not as much as entertaining as yesterday's games, and there is very much little to talk about. Looking at Man City and Napoli and Barcelona and Newcastle's game, there's very much little to talk about, but we'll still have to break down how I saw the matches. I think I have to still talk about how I saw some few mistakes from coaches and players. Let's start with Barcelona versus Newcastle at the St James Park. Today's game, like there is nothing to actually discuss. The game has been very boring. I think I saw a very nice performance from Newcastle first half, thinking they could bury some of at least one of their chances, and they didn't. They wasted chances upon chances in the first half where they could have punished Barcelona. I didn't expect them to at least win the game, but I was expecting them to push Barcelona a little bit more, maybe a late comeback from Barcelona or something. They had opportunities in the first half. Elanga was very great, but Gordon, how can you miss that chance? How can you? Hmm? Anthony Gordon, how can you miss that chance? You're a professional player. You understand? It's players from the non-league teams that are supposed to be wasting such chances. Sunday stars and Monday stars footballers are the players who are supposed to be missing such opportunities. Barcelona's defense were in shambles today. They were absolutely doing nothing today. In the first half, you were placing pressure on them. You penetrated. You did all sort of right things that could have been done by a team against Barcelona, but you wasted all the chances in the first half. You understand? I was even talking as we were watching the football. I was even mocking the Barcelona fans, saying that as after 60th minute, they've not even had a single shot on target. Barcelona did not have a single shot on target as at 60th minute. You were how should I say, doing everything right except scoring. You were doing everything right except scoring. I can see even after the game, I can see some people talking about Pedri's performance. Pedri, he didn't do anything until after 60th minute. He was actually doing nothing until after 60th minute. The pressure Newcastle started with was so excellent that he wasn't able to do anything. Their passes were finding difficult to leave the final third. You understand? Their passes were finding difficult to move past the center line. They at least pushed, tried to kick from afar, tried to do something, but it wasn't working. Everything on Newcastle side was working excellent. They just didn't bury their chances. The only, as I was saying, the only positive thing I will pick from this game is Marcus Rashford. For the goals he scored was superb. Let me be sincere. Barcelona fans are not happy with Rashford playing for their team. When I was watching the football, a whole lot of people were asking for his substitution. And I know very well if there was a player who could replace Rashford and play as in that position as how Rafinha used to play, I think he would have been sacked and Barcelona would have played 0-0. But here we are, he has proven why you need to give him the time to actually perform and be who he is. Because looking at the goals he scored, let's be sincere, they are not goals you actually see a team like Barcelona score. Somebody crossing and somebody heading. I think Lewandowski is one of the few players who have actually done that for them. But they are not the kind of team that you get the ball and you cross for someone to score, or dribble and play shots from afar like the way Rashford did. They have a few players who have done that. Pedri have at least done that with some 2 goals. Rakitic used to do that, but I don't think they have such a winger to push the ball like that and power the ball into the net. I don't think they have it. So I think Rashford is going to be uh, a help to, at least a help to Barcelona. He's going to help them a lot this season. And like I said, there's no positive because Lewandowski wasn't playing well. Fermin Lopez was not good. Gerard Martin was very bad. Kunde, despite the fact that he gave an assist, I wasn't actually seeing him. He was doing nothing. Rafinha's passes weren't going through. I think after the goals, he was trying to shoot. None of them were on target. There's nothing you could actually pick from the Barcelona side. But Harvey Barnes says you had the opportunities to punish Barcelona. What were you doing? And what is wrong with Newcastle's coach? Eh? Ed, what is wrong with you? Why would you sign such expensive striker and put him on the bench? You could have started the game with your striker. You could have started the game with your striker. Why would you put him on the bench? What sort of rookie coach mistake is that? You can't do that. You've been coaching for a while now. That's a rookie coach. New coaches that are supposed to be doing such mistakes, trying to prove a point by benching certain players to see whether their tactics will work. And it didn't work. They had the chances and they did bury the chances. You understand? They had the chances and they didn't bury the chances. Tonali was very good in the first 30 to 40 minutes. And he was nowhere to be found again. What's wrong? You've been performing well since the beginning of the season. And another player, Joe Linton. You are a very good player. But your end product is so horrible. Joe Linton, your end product is so horrible. Look, I'll have to end it here. There's nothing much positive about today's game. Only to say Barcelona's goalkeeper, Joan Garcia, will still be performing or be their best signing. But let's see by the end of the season what Rashford will do if he can get close to Joan Garcia to be another good signing for Barcelona. Another game that was extremely very boring was the Man City game. And after the red card, immediately Kelvin De Bruyne was changed out of the game. How I was expecting to see Kelvin De Bruyne punish his team, I didn't actually see it though. But I think after the game, he was given a standing ovation at the Etihad. But the way I was expecting the game to go, I didn't actually see it. But there is a few positive things that I could talk about. I think Foden and Rodri are getting back to their best. I wasn't expecting I wasn't expecting much from Foden though, because last season he was so bad. I think that's what has forced City to sign certain players that are also playing the same position. I I I'm very impressed with his performance from the Manchester game and today's game, and he controlled the game very well. Uh, but apart from that, the game was extremely boring. The way it started, and I was hoping it would have continued after the red card. It just had to go away. You could see Napoli being able to study from work from the back before the red card. They were able to start working from the back. They were not scared of Manchester City. But I think after the red card, they had to draw back and be more reserved. And I think the rec actually see any threats from Napoli after the red card. At least they did some few attacking, they put up some few attacking momentum, but it didn't actually amount to anything. It wasn't a threat though, but that was in the first half where Donnarumma made a very wonderful save on the line. But because of the red card, I didn't actually see anything. The game was so one-sided, and uh, I hope that the upcoming games for City would be would be a little bit tough. That when they win, they know they are at least building up a certain level of momentum that will help them because they are now trying to build up a winning momentum. But with this, I'm thinking it's also positive for them. But I'm not actually seeing it because I didn't actually um see the attacking threats of Napoli that would have said, okay, then you need resolve this in your formation, sort out this. I don't see any threat to their game today that you would have said, okay, you have to change the right back or the center back or change the defensive structure to actually accommodate the upcoming games. So they've not been actually tested. I'm hoping the weekend they'll be tested so that we see how City's resolve is when being attacked by a very good team. Savage, Milankovic Savage, the goalkeeper of Napoli, was very good today. I think even SofaScore have named him player of the match. I'm very people when we were watching, people were like, "Who is this keeper? Where is he from?" But I think he's not actually that much of a new keeper. Just that people don't actually follow the Italian league that much to actually know who he is. So Milankovic Savic, I think, had a very great game. I think he's the only player from the Napoli side to actually uh, put up a difference. If not him, I think Napoli should have considered at least 4 goals or 5 goals by the night. I was wondering why Antonio Conte. Antonio Conte is one very good coach, but I think his problem is the Champions League. He ever since he has begun his coaching, I think he has not been that great in the Champions League because I don't know why you change your key player. I think he knows better than I do because he's a good coach. But to take Kevin De Bruyne out and leaving a two, I think, defensive midfielders with McTominay and Anguissa, I felt he should have left Kevin De Bruyne in to at least create something for Hoyland. I think Hoyland was just um, uh, uh, a defensive structure to the game. He was just running, following, defending. I didn't actually see what he was doing because there was nobody able to push the ball forward. And another player that I was thinking would have done that was Politano, but he had to cover up for the player who had the red card. And he was defending very well today. He was going up and down. So I am yet to watch his presser and know the reason why he had to take Kevin De Bruyne because I thought that it was too early to do that substitution right after the red card. Bro. But he knows best. Maybe that was the reason why they considered only 2 goals. Maybe with Kevin De Bruyne being the game, maybe they would have considered 5 or 6. Looking at today's matches, Club Brugge actually showed Monaco, unlike what Barcelona did last season in their first game, showed Monaco that when you come to their home, they will trash you up. Monaco had the opportunity to take the lead in LM, wasted the penalty, and now had to be punished 4-1. Copenhagen versus Bayer Leverkusen, I'm not surprised though, because I was expecting this resistance from Copenhagen. They've been doing this, they've done it against big teams. When you visit Denmark, Copenhagen, they would actually like to defend their home, and they've been doing that very well. The 2-2 draw against Leverkusen, I am not that much surprised. What surprised me more is the Frankfurt versus Galatasaray match. I was expecting Galatasaray to actually put up a good performance though, but I'm very much disappointed because taking the lead and for Frankfurt to do a remontada by trashing you 5-1 at home, I wasn't expecting you to go there and win though. I was expecting a draw, but 5-1 is an absurd score for a team like Galatasaray to concede. It's very absurd. And as we spoke about, Man City won the game by 2-0. Barcelona struggled, though. They really struggled, but they won the game by 2-1. CP, Sporting CP's game against Karat. I was reading that they were wasting a whole lot of goals, and investors. That's how I was supposed to put it. Investors were very worried about that game. They were thinking they were going to behave like Benfica yesterday, but they showed why they will beat. They showed why they are Sporting CP. No small team will go there. If it was to be a big team and they lose, it's understandable. But they showed Kairat that no, they are also a big team as compared to them. Uh, I think this ends up the third day of the match day one in the Champions League.